What's up guys, I'm Suman from Phones Team and welcome to the 6th episode of Lap Talk. So this is a series where we take a look at a laptop that is available in India. I analyze and give my thoughts on whether or not you should consider buying that particular laptop. With that said, in today's video, let's talk about the Acer Aspire 7, and to be particular, we are going to be talking about the A715-75G. Now this laptop episode is going to be somewhat different because I am going to be comparing the Acer Aspire 7 with the Asus VivoBook Gaming F571GT. So I made a video on that. Links to that will be right here, so make sure you check that out. Now this was a highly requested comparison video from you guys because these laptops have a lot in common and the differences are kind of very small, so it is definitely hard to make a decision. So without wasting any precious time, let us begin. Now let us start with the performance of these laptops. Now I'll have the specs of both the laptops on the screen right now. Please pause the video and take a look. Now both the specifications look more or less similar, but the one thing you would have immediately noticed is the difference in the CPUs. Now the Asus VivoBook Gaming has the 8th Gen Intel i5 processor, whereas on the Acer Aspire 7 you get the 9th generation Intel i5 processor. But to be very honest, the difference between the 9th Gen and 8th Gen Intel chips are very small. So I had explained in detail about the differences between these two processors, so make sure you check that out. So the cards to that will be right here. But in short, when you're playing games, you might notice only like a few frames increase, like maybe 5 or 10 frames difference between both these laptops, which in my opinion is not a big difference. And since the GPUs are same on both these machines, so you have the Nvidia Gtx 1650, and if you're planning to game or even video edit on these, you will end up with mostly the same performance. But there's one thing that will determine how well these machines run and how well these will take advantage of all the power they have in them, and that is thermal management. So basically, if any one of these laptops don't have good airflow and good heat dissipation, then the CPU will definitely throttle, therefore not providing you with the expected performance. But these laptops are not that thin to stop proper airflow, so I'm sure there won't be a problem here. Anyways, moving on, both have 8 gigs of RAM, but on the Acer Aspire 7 you can upgrade up to 32 gigs, whereas on the Asus VivoBook Gaming you can upgrade only up to 16. Now if you're planning to only game on these laptops, then 16 gigs should be more than enough. But if you're someone who's planning to use softwares which require more RAM for a smooth operation, then the Aspire 7 might be the one for you. Now both have a 512GB PCIe SSD, which is amazing, and both are also upgradable, so no differences here. So when it comes to the performance, the main determining factor is going to be if you need that extra RAM upgrade option. So the difference between the CPUs are not that great, so I'm not including that. Now if your work requires more RAM, then the Aspire 7 might be the one for you. Now let's discuss about the displays. So both have a 15.6-inch Full HD IPS display. But Asus hasn't mentioned what type of display they use, but they claim to have a 100% sRGB color gamut, whereas the Acer Aspire 7 has a TFT display. Now I won't say both are bad, but after going through some feedbacks, it looks like people are happy with both the displays. In terms of the bezels and how they look, both have nearly the same screen to body ratio with a chin on the bottom. So finally, when it comes to display, I'll be very honest with you. At this price point, it really doesn't matter what you're getting because both have a 60Hz display and both are IPS. So if you're gaming or editing videos or photos, it's not going to make much of a difference like you would actually see on higher end machines. So as you know, higher end machines have dedicated displays to do dedicated tasks, but you won't be able to find things like that in laptops at this price range. So in terms of displays, both of these should be more or less identical. Now talking about the keyboard and trackpad, both these laptops have a backlit keyboard and also have a fingerprint scanner. Now when you take a look at the layout, I prefer the Asus keyboard more as the keys look well spaced out when compared to the Aspire 7. So especially when you see the right control and arrow keys, they are not crammed like that of the Acer Aspire 7. So on the topic of keyboard and trackpads, I'm going to stop talking about those right now because I've not tested out any of these keyboards or trackpads on both these devices, so I can't really judge just based on how they look on picture. But if any one of you guys own these laptops, definitely put your experience with the keyboard and trackpad in the comments below, and I'll make sure I'll pin them so others can take a look at it. Now, talking about the design, it's totally up to you to decide, because both these laptops weigh nearly the same. But when it comes to the thickness, the Acer Aspire 7 is slightly thicker than the Asus VivoBook. But again, it's personal preference, so I'll leave it totally up to you to judge these laptops based on looks. Moving on, when we look at the ports, both have really good selection of ports, but the Acer Aspire 7 doesn't have a SD card reader, while the Asus VivoBook has a full-size SD card slot. So if you're planning to edit videos on one of these laptops, then the Asus VivoBook Gaming might be the best choice for you. That is, if you really hate carrying around dongles and cables with you. Now, as for connectivity, both these laptops have Wi-Fi 6, and talking about Bluetooth, the Acer Aspire 7 has Bluetooth 4.1, while the Asus VivoBook has Bluetooth 5.0. And finally, the Asus VivoBook comes with a 42 Wh battery, while the Acer Aspire 7 comes with a 48 Wh battery. So we've come to the end of this video, and I have to say the differences between these laptops are like very small. But if you ask me which one has the better performance, I would say both are more or less going to perform the same. That is, if you don't take into consideration the thermal performance. Now you might ask, the performance is same on both of these laptops. Then how do I make a choice? So for that, just take into consideration the following factors that I'm going to talk about. Do you really need the option to upgrade to 32 gigs? Do you mind the extra thickness? Now, is that extra battery life very important to you? Do you really need the SD card slot? And even the design can be an important deciding factor. But more than all of these, the most important factor that is going to decide your purchase decision is going to be the price. So as of making this video, the Aspire 7 is 2000 rupees more than the Asus VivoBook Gaming, but that difference is understandable because you get a 9th gen chip on the Aspire 7, which will of course increase the price of the laptop. So to make a decision, please think about what you're going to use this laptop for, and then compare that with all these factors that I just mentioned, and with that you can select the right laptop for you. Now, both laptops are really good, but the decision is up to you. With that said, thanks for watching, and this here is Suman signing off once again. Catch you later.